Here's how to win as a buyer in a multiple offer situation. When you're a home buyer competing against multiple offers, it's essential to understand what the sellers are looking for. They primarily consider two things: one, price, and two, the likelihood of the offer actually closing. My name is Cabby, one half of the Chris and Cab real estate team here in Houston, Texas, and here are our top strategies that we employ to help our clients win against multiple offers. So first, as soon as our client decides that they want to submit an offer, we try to get the listing agent on the phone to have a conversation. Sometimes if we're at an open house, I'll even walk back in to have a face-to-face conversation with the listing agent. As a side note, in a competitive market, you typically have an idea after you see a home if it's going to be multiple offers. One of the main goals of having these conversations is to try and stand out and stick out in the listing agent's mind. Now, another thing that I'm trying to do is that I'm trying to show and convey that I'm an experienced and competent agent, and that I'll know how to guide my buyer through the process so that the deal won't fall apart for some frivolous reason. This conversation also gives me an opportunity to figure out how many competing offers there are and how high of a price we may need to go. See, in Texas, listing agents aren't allowed to disclose the prices of other offers. But if I know how many offers they have in hand, I'll have an idea of how high we may need to go in order to win the deal. If there's only one other offer, maybe something like 7K or 10K might get the deal done. If there's 5 or 10 or more offers, then I'll know we'll need to go much stronger than that. Secondly, when we have a feeling it's going to be multiple offers, we try to be the first offer in. In doing so, we think it helps our clients stick out from the crowd, and it shows the seller how serious we are. If we're the first offer in, we usually tell our clients to submit an offer for the full list price. And then during the conversations that I'm having with the listing agent, I'll tell them, hey, we just wanted to be the first in the door and show you how serious we are about this house. But if there are other offers that come through before any sort of offer deadline you may be setting, please keep us posted, because our clients will want to resubmit a highest and best to stay competitive. So let's pause here for a second and kind of talk about what exactly highest and best means. So since listing agents in Texas aren't allowed to disclose the prices of competing offers, we technically don't get into bidding wars. When there are multiple offers on the table, the listing agent usually invites everybody to submit a highest and best. Highest obviously meaning the highest price that the buyer is willing to pay, and best meaning limiting any seller concessions or contingencies that would allow the buyer to back out of the contract. Typically, you have one shot. Once the listing agent calls for highest and best and you submit your offer, that's it. So with all that said, if you know it's a multiple offer situation and you're not the first one in, we suggest just submitting your highest and best right out the gate, even without waiting for the listing agent to call for highest and best. If you already know the listing site has multiple offers in hand, you might as well come strong and come correct from the jump. Another thing that can help a lot is if your lender calls the listing agent to reassure them that the financing is solid and that it won't be an issue or fall apart. Remember, listing agents and sellers want to know that the deal will get to the closing table. And issues with financing is one of the biggest contingencies in real estate transactions. In fact, that's why cash often beats out finance offers. If your lender affirms that the financing is solid, then this will help win points in your favor. Something else sellers look for or prefer is a strong down payment. This is often seen as an indicator of financial strength. So if you can put at least 10 to 20% down, sellers will look at your offer favorably. Now, if you can't put this much down, then having your lender call the listing agent to provide assurances around the financing, this is even more important. So the more confidence that your lender can instill in the listing agent that the deal will go through and the financing won't fall apart, this will all help if you can't bring a big down payment to the table. The next step is to be willing to take on fees that are typically negotiable. Things like the survey, HOA resale certificate, the HOA transfer fee, etc. This makes your offer more attractive by reducing the seller's costs. The last tip we want to mention is to waive or partially waive the appraisal contingency. See, the default language in the Texas financing addendum essentially lets the buyer back out if the appraisal comes in less than the contract price. If you waive the appraisal contingency, this means you're willing to cover the difference if the appraisal comes in low. For a simple example, let's say the contract price is $300,000, but the appraisal comes in at $290,000. Then waiving the appraisal contingency means you have to cover the $10K difference out of pocket. Otherwise, you default on the contract and lose your earnest money. Now, we usually recommend to our clients a partial appraisal contingency waiver, and we usually set it at the list price. So let's say the list price is $300,000 and we offer $315,000. With a partial waiver at the list price of $300,000, the buyer would only have to cover the difference out of pocket if the appraisal comes in at $300K or higher. So if the appraisal came in at $305, then the buyer would just need to make up a $10K difference from the $305 to the $315 offer price. However, if the appraisal came in at $290, which is under that $300K limit that we set, then the buyer could still back out and get their earnest money back. To me, setting a partial waiver at the list price makes sense and provides some protection to the buyer in case the appraisal comes in extremely low. It's kind of like saying, okay, since we're offering to pay above asking, we'll make up the difference if the appraisal comes in for at least the asking price. But if the appraisal is lower than the asking price that you, the seller, have set, then we shouldn't be on the hook for that. Now, I will say a partial waiver isn't as strong as a full waiver, but most of the time, our clients just don't feel comfortable with a full waiver. And in our experience, a partial waiver is good enough to win the deal a lot of the time. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions about this or anything related to real estate, especially in the Houston market, drop them down in the comments below or shoot us an email at hello@christiancab.com. We're here to help and we'd love to hear from you. For more real estate content like this, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. You can also follow us and shoot us a DM on Instagram @ChristianCab. That's actually our most active platform. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.